blood work was 120, something a heck of a lot cheaper. So it just depends on what I'm looking to have done.
Well, the reason why I ask is because Mike just told me he met my neighbor today, and I said, "Oh, my neighbor." He said, "Ruth." The only Ruth I know is a
Oh, Mr. Best.
girl that
Hello, sir.
How are you?
But she's a
How are you?
technician.
Fine.
He got a job over there.
We're doing good.
He apparently had his dog food or something. So I thought I'd
Did,
just,
Yeah.
Chris, chance to
he's
talk
only
to you?
lived there a couple
Did
months.
Chris?
Yeah. We had a meeting.
He's a nice guy.
I had a meeting with them on 4th of July committee right after. Yeah. And so we talked a little bit about, in conjunction with ours, we talked a little bit about what you guys have brought up, ideas,
But
and
she's
so
a
on and so
technician,
forth.
not a vet. Yeah.
And she came over with this brightly,
A number
bright
of
red
clubs I did not get in touch with, and your motorcycle club was one
jacket,
of
I
them.
guess you call it.
But it would just be,
This bright red
I want to bring the town together.
dogs
What I'm
and
looking to
cats'
do.
heads.
And through the service club. I didn't get a hold of American Legion, but I understand that will be at the next one. So,
Yeah.
And my most favorite vet is Dr.
Hanging in there.
Killstrom. And he comes to your house. But he can't do it.
Oh.
how we doing?
Well, that's because I don't have a motorcycle.
Winter's coming, you can put it away for a while.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
He uses
Yeah. But you know what? And he mostly specializes in large.
They make studded tires.
Oh,
But, I mean, he is, I love him.
we were just,
If I can find him all this, I would.
we just want to get the town
I would,
together.
he's that
The
good at
service
it, I
club
really like him.
seems to be the people that push the town.
You probably.
They're the ones that are the, they're the ones that contain the
Yeah.
volunteer-minded people.
Well, whatever.
So, it really makes sense to start
for a
there.
long house.
Yeah.
It can be. I
I'm
think
just throwing
the
ideas
strategic
around
plan's
right
gonna
now.
be all.
Hopefully they'll come back with something more solid October 9th. And if you're available, you're more than welcome.
Okay, what time?
3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Just turned around looking at it.
Yeah, I knew the meeting was that day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
talking to
that you had
Dr.
called, because you had told me the 18th, and I barely made it to the 4th of July meeting, so. And then I went over, I thought I was early, because I went over where we normally meet, over in the town development
Okay.
office over there. I'm sitting there all by myself. Chris calls me up and says, hey, he says, you gonna make it to the meeting? I said, I thought I did. He says, oh no, we're over here at the library.
But,
What did
yes,
he
just
say?
to get our whole community involved and doing something. It's
guess he has
just
the right
Springfest was the one thing that everybody was talking about.
Yeah. No, Springfest was really good, and I'd love to see it come back. And we talked about a few other ideas amongst ourselves, things we talked about for 4th of July that maybe didn't quite fit 4th of July, that might fit Springfest.
That's fine.
So we'll bring those ideas to the next meeting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But we'll be in the big room in like,
No, hotels is.
we might have
I never
to
seen Chris without his hat, so I don't know.
so.
Oh, don't look so serious.
That's a new one?
By standing at the top of the stairs and throwing
Good evening, how are you? Well, I'm here.
All right, that's all.
That's all, I can't go any further than that.
Walk into things.
They want more, they better bring it back.
That's it.
Where's Daryl?
Thank you, ma'am. We got one. Does this reflect the revisions from the other night?
Really?
From last Thursday?
He's he's going to Missouri and then on to the great state of Florida,
He gave me these
where
copies.
even the bugs
I
make
thought
sense.
there was 2 copies, one for Linda, one for me, but
They're different.
they're all the same. I mean, they're one package, right?
Yeah.
But he went to where the cockroaches go farmed.
I'll tell you what, we went down there and we rented a motorcycle over there. City and I went over there for a Valpak thing, so we rented a motorcycle, stayed 2 extra days, and rode down to Key West. We got down there with the park, and you can walk out the walkway, and you look at the alligators and stuff.
They're talking, way toward the back.
And hit that wooden platform, and that's where the new vegetation started. Right. It was like a curtain.
I think it's part of
I
the
took
veterans
3 steps in, and I was covered in
I think
mosquitoes.
it's part of the veterans.
I turned around and walked back out, and I said, "We aren't going in there. Just stay at the. Let's get back on here."
That's correct.
Oh, no, that's not true.
Nobody wanted to call.
What's the big interest tonight? Usually when they show up like this, there's something that they're interested in.
Lately, the veterans have been coming to all of our meetings. The guy with the scrambled eggs on his hat. And looked like he just invited people.
Okay.
Until she shows up.
Sounds good. Yeah. We'll do the same one for that one in the executive session. We're going in. The one. Yeah.
Yeah, because if she show up, I mean, when she does show up, then we're resurrected.
Yeah.
Did you look at that thing about the person?
Right.
Why do we have a $90,000
I was going to ask, and I
You know, I might make a motion that we scrub the 90 and use it for, because it's all riprap.
well,
It obviously was meant to separate.
yeah, I was supposed to go
Hey,
wrong.
you guys ready over
He's
there?
not here, he said it's cold.
Sure.
Where's
Mike, you guys ready over here?
You betcha, man. I'm sitting here chomping at the bit.
I think we can go ahead and spark this thing up. And you're doing the opening prayer?
Yes, I can do that.
Oh, we got some
Well, there's our
last
lawyer.
minute folks coming in.
Where's Corey?
Okay, well, let's light the fuse here. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Please rise and remove your hats for the invocation. Mr. Best.
Our Father who art in heaven, we humbly bow our heads before this council meeting for the town of Chino Valley. We ask that would go ahead and give us the discernment and the ability to act responsibly for our town, that we would go ahead and do the things that we need to do. We'd ask you to be with the military that protects us and gives us these rights and these freedoms. We'd ask you to protect those that are overseas, that are defending our rights. And those that have come home, we ask you to be with them as they recover from their ailments. We ask you to be with the members of our council who are not here tonight, that they might go ahead and be able to attend our next council meeting. And these things we say in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Ms. Hart, may we have the roll call?
Councilmember McKee.
Here.
Councilmember Turner.
Here.
Councilmember Wojak.
Here.
Councilmember Best.
Here.
And Mayor Marley.
Here.
Also, Councilmember Linda Hatch, absent. Vice Mayor Croft, absent.
Okay. Thank you. Introductions, presentations, and proclamations. We have a status update by Mr. Russell Dirksen on the Arizona Sunshine Prescott 2015 Health Expo and Fair. Mr. Dirksen?
Thank you, and thank you, Mayor and Council and Town Manager. This is a brief update on what's going on. I thank the Town Manager for starting the process of getting our committee members speaking to town staff as necessary. Licensure issues have all been resolved. We will be able to have all specialties present. We're beginning the recruiting process of medical professionals. Right now, just at the very beginning, we have at least 6 to 7 MDs without even me knocking on doors, and 2 to 3 dentists already, so we're happy about that. Plus, we have anywhere from 10 to 15 allied health specialists, and we haven't done any recruiting yet. So I think we're well on our way to having 60 medical professionals for the event. The venue has been settled. We've signed a memorandum of intent with the Prescott Unified School District for use of the Prescott High School. So that is going to be the venue for the site. We were looking at several sites elsewhere, but we had situations where tenants in the same facility did not wish to have the expo close to their businesses, so we had to eventually choose a governmental entity. I would just want to reiterate our needs that we're not asking for cash, but we're going to be talking to staff, and Mr. Smith and I have started to have conversation on this, where we'll need more logistical support, such as in the area of transport, publicity, security, maybe picking the brain of your purchasing manager and some equipment that might be needed to keep the out-of-pocket cash cost down as much as possible. All the providers are volunteering. We may be able to get some volunteer insurance coverage, so we're knocking on all sorts of doors, but anything we can get to keep the cash costs down means that there's more supplies, more crowns, more fillings that can be done. So we're going to be coming back to the town asking for a formal resolution of support probably in the next month or so. But we want to make sure all those resolutions track with all the other governmental entities. We're finishing our presentations to 2 or 3 other entities in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So we're going to be asking all the governmental entities to basically have the same resolution of support at that point in time.
Excellent. And this is Councilmember Best has been your liaison? In
Right,
this,
he's and Vice Mayor Croft.
Okay, excellent, thank you. And for our audience, this is 2 days of free
medical and dental services, first come, first served.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you, sir.
So, and I think you have the dates in the record, June 17 and 18 of next year.
Excellent. We'll be watching that as it moves forward.
And I will be in contact with Mr. Smith's contact person, and we will have our committee chairs start hammering out. One question I do have for council, will you want the formal resolution to encompass some of the logistical support or just a general resolution? I think a couple of the other governmental bodies are just wanting a general resolution of support with staff basically working out the logistical details, but I'm prepared to come with that for whichever one you want.
I would imagine, council, just a general one? No?
Yes, I think general would be sufficient.
Jen, and then I'll work out the rest with Mr. Smith.
Okay, we'll work through that. Thank you, sir. And that's about a year from now. Okay. Our next item is call to the public. Call to the public is an opportunity for the public to address the council concerning a subject that is not on the agenda. Public comment is encouraged. Individuals are limited to speak for 3 minutes. The total time for call to the public may be up to 30 minutes per meeting. Council action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date, or responding to criticism. I had a request earlier for as an extended time, and so, sir, if you would, please come up, and you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor Marley.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully I won't have to use the extended time, but just in case I run a hair
Okay.
over. Okay, Mayor and Council, my name is Robert McCauley. I reside at 1527 West Road 4 North in Chino Valley. I am a removed member from the Planning and Zoning Commission. Tonight I bring forth several questions concerning that action. To get to the questions, I need to read Town Uniform Development Ordinance Section 1.4.1, and then Arizona Revised Statute 38-431-03A1. First, UDO 1.4.1, establishment, composition, terms of members, vacancies, compensation of members. There is hereby established a Planning and Zoning Commission, hereinafter called Commission of the Town, to consist of 7 members, each of whom shall be resident of the town, to be appointed by council. The members of the commission shall serve for 3 years, except as hereinafter provided. In the event of death, resignation, or removal from the commission, the council shall fill the vacancy for the unexpired term. Members of the commission may be removed by the council for inefficiency, neglect of duty, excessive absenteeism, or malfeasance in office subsequent to an executive session. No executive session shall be held if the commissioner in question requests a public hearing. The council shall file a written statement of the reasons for the removal. ARS 38-431.03. Upon public majority vote of the members constituting a quorum, a public body may hold an executive session, but only for the following purposes. Number one, discussion or consideration of employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, demotion, dismissal, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of a public officer, appointee, or employee of any public body. Except that with the exception of salary discussions, an officer, appointee, or employee may demand that the discussion or consideration occur at a public meeting. The public body shall provide the officer, appointee, or employee with written notice of the executive session as is appropriate, but not less than 24 hours for the officer, appointee, or employee to determine whether the discussion or consideration should occur at a public meeting. My questions: when should I expect to receive the mandatory notification as stated in both the UDO and the Arizona Revised Statute? What are the allegations against me? When will there be a public hearing to allow me to address the accusations? And I do demand a public hearing. In addition, I would like to have a not redacted copy of the executive session concerning this issue. I believe the action taken at the council meeting on Tuesday, September 9th, 2014, was in violation of the previously stated Uniform Development Ordinance and Arizona Revised Statute, thus deeming the action invalid. Council, Mayor, thank you. Hopefully I didn't go over the 3 minutes.
No, it doesn't matter. You did good.
Okay, thank you much. Have a good evening.
All right. We are in the second part of this. It says council action taken of public comment as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date, or responding to criticism. I need to let our audience know, and Mr. McCauley know, there's an ongoing police investigation. As soon as that's over with, we will have much to say. Okay? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is, as I said, an ongoing police investigation. As soon as that is comes to a close, I'll have much to tell our public. Okay? Thank you. All right. Others for call to the public. Yes, ma'am. And this young lady also asked for an extended time period.
Hello, Mayor and Council and Manager. Tonight I'm here in regards to the, I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. My name is Sherry Romley. I live at 828 Talia Place, Appaloosa Meadows. Last town council, there was a presentation done on the roads program by the town engineer. And the town engineer portrayed Appaloosa Meadows as an affluent community And he said the community pushing their way to the front of the line for road repairs and services. We are far from that community the town engineer portrayed. 2 years ago, and it was 2 years ago, we had asked him 2 questions. What do we need to do to preserve our roads? And how much would it cost to do this? And when we asked the questions, there was no front of the line, there was no program of any type in the town. We waited for this length of time to give us an answer regarding the roads, and it was done at the town council meeting last time. The intent was never to move to the front of the line, but to find a creative way to preserve our roads. Never expected the threats of no maintenance and no solutions for those. In a good faith effort, we stated maybe we could help the town in maintaining these roads because these roads we paid for when we purchased these lots. And to let them fall in disrepair is not acceptable. They were dedicated to the town, including the area on 1 West from 3 North to 4 North. And as you notice, that is not even in the program. Other roads have been dedicated to the town across the whole town, and you're talking about Parkside Village, Bright Star, Highland Ranch, Molly Ray, and many others. And they're all asphalt roads, and they all need to have some type of maintenance at some time. They are not, so that's the issue of what went on. And then the town engineer compared Appaloosa Meadows as affluent versus Chino Meadows as underprivileged. Keeping properties maintained and looking good does not equate to being affluent. 30% in our community are widows or widowers. They have, and they are on fixed incomes. We recently went over to someone's house who couldn't deal with their property and doing the maintenance to help them. Our community has always participated and supported the town, and they do give of their time and money to help the town. Examples of the work Appaloosa Meadows has given and continues to give to the town are volunteers of the Friends of the Library, volunteers of the Police Department, volunteers of the Senior Center, created the Senior Foundation when we couldn't do dinners for seniors on Fridays, members of the General Plan, members of Planning and Zoning Commission, council member, transit volunteers, members of the Roads and Streets Committee, members of Parks and Rec, members of Public Safety Committee, and it goes on. Does this sound like the people pushing their way to the front of the line so other people can't have their roads repaired? We asked 2 questions. The road repair is done right now, will last a very long time. Our roads have been in almost 16 years, and they're now requiring some kind of maintenance. The final item is the comment made by the vice mayor regarding the HERF funds. It was stated that town receives only $90,000 of HERF funds for road repair. It receives almost $800,000 of HERF funds. Where it goes, I'm not sure. I assume that a lot of it goes to personnel. I'm assuming that a lot of it goes to buying materials or doing some other stuff. But so there's not just 90,000. In fact, that was the amount of money that Mr. Gripman told us it would cost us to do our roads. It just so happened to be the exact same amount was the 90,000. So how much of these
Ms.
funds are
Romley?
used on the roads? Yes.
We're starting to.
I'm sorry.
run out
Okay,
of
I'm down at the end. I believe our town engineer should never use comparisons between any of the neighborhoods. And if you notice, it was specifically Appaloosa Meadows. So he should never do that. And when he's giving a presentation and labeling people in their areas, I was disturbed that the town allowed him to continue doing that. Our town has a lot of work, and it would be quality versus quantity. It's still quality, you can get a lot of quantity out of it, but it has to be quality, and quantity never lasts a very long time. We believe we followed the rules, asking our questions, but it does not appear to have been the correct approach. I hope, Mr. Mayor, that you go through this and give us some kind of response, and I hope that we find a way of coming up with a way to approach the town when we have questions like this, because it's not right for us. We should have been approached and said, this is how we're handling it. We're not going to do it. And that was never done. So I thank you very much.
Thank you.
For your time.
Others for call to the public? Yes, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. My name is Al Gibbons, and I'd like to take a moment and present a topic that I'd like to get on the future agenda for a council meeting. I understand there's a form to be filled out, and I have that. I can submit that tonight as well. The topic is about the exported noise pollution from Prescott for their helicopters and their planning of the large jet industry for industrial jets as well as passenger jets. Chino Valley is designated a large area by FAA as a noise-sensitive area. It's violated all day long, every day. I've been dealing with FAA for a number of years on that, complaints, rattling their cage, and the helicopter guys and all of this. It's time to elevate this up because of this jet business coming our way. And it's a shared interest item with PV and Dewey Humboldt. I've talked to their mayor in Dewey Humboldt, and I've left a message for the council member Mike suggested in PV. I've met with Mike, shared FAA correspondence, maps, things like this. Mike has some details on it, as well as I've shared with him Prescott City Council's economic development to have an 8,000-acre airport and extend the runway, and Prescott's in writing document where they want to start competing for Phoenix passenger airline business. They got big plans, and it affects our community, affects the whole Central Highlands. I would like to know, my goal personally is to get a yes or no from the Chino Town Council if they support eliminating Prescott's exported industrial noise pollution that's heard here in Chino Valley from Prescott's flight schools and from Prescott's currently planned large jet industry. That's my purpose of getting it on the agenda. I know you've got a ballot measure coming up in November that you would like the citizens to support, and we would like to know how, if you support us as politics goes, you scratch our back and we scratch your back. It's a little figurative thing to remember me by. I want my back scratched as well as our group. And not trying to dump this on the council, offering time, services, whatever, meetings, history, whatever, to be participant in this and to bring it forward for our community. I think there's very little knowledge in our community about the situation and what can be done and where Prescott is heading. Prescott purposely did not come to Chino Valley and ask us what we thought about large jets descending on their flight pattern within 1,000 feet over our heads. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Gibbons, as he indicated, has been in contact with Councilmember Best, and I believe Mr. Best is moving forward on that. Others for call to the public? Yes, sir. Please state your name.
My name is Dan Carlson. Of course, I'm a resident of Chino Valley. There's an item on the agenda regarding Linda Hatch, and I see she's not here, and as well as Mr. Croft's not here,
Yes, sir.
council person. So I assume that's going to be taken off the agenda. And so I would like to speak on that matter if possible. I may not be at the next meeting, so I don't know about my schedule.
Okay.
Mayor?
Yeah, I don't believe we can do that.
No, not as long as the item is on the agenda, but now that you know that there's someone here who would like to speak to that item, if you wanted to hear his comments before you table it,
Before we
you
table
could.
the item? Would that be suitable to you,
That would
Mr.
be-
Carlson?
that would be fine.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Others for call to the public? No? Okay, call to the public is now closed. Response to the public. Response to the public is an opportunity for the mayor to inform the public about how town officials address matters raised during call to the public at a previous meeting. And there were none last meeting, but we had 4 this meeting, so we'll get to, or 3.5, I guess. And we'll be dealing with those 2 weeks from now. Current event summaries and reports. This item is for information only. The mayor, any council member, or town manager may present a brief summary or report of current events or ask a staff member to provide the same. Presentation on information requested by the mayor and council will be made and questions answered. No action will be taken. Our first item up is a presentation by Finance Director Joe Duffy regarding past donations to the proposed community center amphitheater. This was about 4 weeks ago, was it not, Mr. Duffy?
3 or 4 meetings ago, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, the question came up 3 or 4 meetings ago, whatever happened to the town's funds they collected for the amphitheater? The next morning, we came in and quickly were able to identify, with the help of Cecilia, looking at some old Parks and Rec minutes, find out exactly when they came in. And what this schedule shows is that the funds were received anywhere from 2005 all the way through 2008. And they also include a grant on January 20th, 2006 for the Yavapai Prescott Indian Tribe of $25,000. So the town did receive $65,000. They put it in their capital improvements fund and unfortunately did not designate it as for the amphitheater. But the money is still there. It's been carrying forward year after year. So what I'm recommending to do is going ahead and taking it from the capital improvements fund and putting it in the grants fund. The grants fund is really a special revenue fund that we have our designated revenue goes into. So when people donate for the senior center, the library, or any grants we receive all come in. But what we're able to do is roll that money over year after year and keep track of it specifically for the project that we received the funds for. So last year we had maybe 20 to 25 different grants or donations or separate line items that we're keeping track, and we just roll that money forward. So I'm going to go ahead and make that entry and adjust the funds over. They're available. Our Public Works Director has said he's going to come with a plan on how we're going to complete the project and for your guys' review here in the next few meetings.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you have a question,
Yes.
sir?
Mr. Duffy, I just want to make a statement, or maybe we'd consider it a correction, I'm not sure. The money that, per the plan for the Phase 3, the money that came from the tribe was actually for a gazebo, a raised gazebo. The
Okay.
money that came from Prescott newspapers was for the amphitheater.
Okay. So, well, we have them both. We haven't spent either.
Right.
So we have them in the same pool, and we can just make that clarification
Sure.
when the time
Okay.
comes. Okay, sir.
Excuse me, stay with us if you would. Yes, sir.
Do these funds gain any interest while they're sitting in a?
Yes, but it's very, very small. The town earns very little interest, less than a percentage point.
So theoretically, we got 80,000 in there now.
No.
So-
No, sir, just 65,000.
Really? You're doing business with the wrong bank?
Yeah, it's not the bank, it's the state treasurer's office.
And we have to do business with the
We
state
have to do
treasurer's
business.
office. Yes, sir. All right.
Thank
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Duffy. Our next item is a status report by Town Manager Robert Smith regarding town accomplishments and current or upcoming projects.
Thank you, Mayor Morley. I just wanted to thank the council for their hard work last week at the study session. There was quite a bit of time put into the strategic plan, which is now ready for council's final deliberations and public comment. And the EDA grant is finally in a packaged format where we can, we're going to have to ship it with UPS or something. But we're glad to be ready to submit that on council's approval.
Okay, thank you. As far as the mayor's report, I'm just wanted to touch on our study session results from last Thursday night. We spent some time on the strategic plan, as Mr. Smith spoke to, and we also had an agenda item on packet materials. The agenda item title was discussion regarding reviewing options for council agenda packet materials. In the past, we have had numerous difficulties, I guess you could say, with what all to include and what all not to include in the packet. So we made it a study session item. Out of that study session, we came to the conclusion that for contracts, the entire contract will be available, whether electronically or a paper copy. The entire contract will be available here at the town hall. But for the packet, the town attorney will keep the applicable sections in our packet and remove all the boilerplate material. And right-of-way acquisitions, we will have an overall map for the immediate area, and the town attorney will supply the pertinent documents for that for that right-of-way acquisition. And thirdly, on equipment purchases, we came to the conclusion that a list of items with a general description of each item, if it's used equipment, to provide the age and number of hours or mileage. Did any of you have any other additions on that? Okay. Anyway, hopefully that'll make our agenda packets a little bit more readable, and we won't need a wheelbarrow to bring them to town council, so that'll be nice. Consent agenda. All those items listed below are considered to be routine and may be enacted by one motion. Any council member may request to remove an item from the consent agenda to be considered and discussed separately. Does anyone on this side wish to remove an agenda item? No? Anyone on this side? Okay. May we have the consent agenda?
All right. Item 6A, consideration and possible action to approve the June 19, 2014 study session minutes. 6B, consideration and possible action to approve disbanding the Town of Chino Valley General Plan Committee, originally established January 24, 2012. And C, consideration and possible action to approve the financial report for the month ended July 31, 2014.
Mr. Best, the chair would entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the consent agenda items as read.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action item 7A, and I needed to let our council know on this. This has been continued from September 9th. We've actually had 2 agenda items that have been automatically rolled over for, this is the 3rd agenda. As chairman, I'm going to ask our town clerks to not roll them over, and if folks wish to have them back on, they can resubmit them, okay? Continued from September 9th, 2014. Discussion and possible action to address a complaint filed by Vice Mayor Croft pursuant to Town Code Chapter 35, Code of Ethics, Section 35.04, Conduct in Public Office, Paragraph D. The 2 folks that are, for the most part, involved in this are not here this evening, but we had someone who wished to speak to it, a Mr. Dan Carlson. And please remember our rules of etiquette, Mr. Carlson. Thank you. Thank you.
Mayor and council, I just wanted to thank Linda Hatch for asking questions when maybe others didn't feel comfortable in asking them. I think she has an obligation, especially when it involves town money, to ask questions of people. I know that years ago, she asked the town or the county flood control, how come the town wasn't getting their monies? And lo and behold, the question was, well, you've never asked for it before. She's asked some tough questions in the years that she's been here. I think that maybe she's a good example of a council person that I would like representing me and the town that I live in. And, you know, I really felt badly the way the article was written in the newspaper. It kind of put her in a very, very bad light. And, you know, speaking of code of ethics and things like that, that probably wasn't the best place to present that. That should have been discussed behind closed doors. So that's my thoughts, and I wanted to share those with you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Carlson.
Thank you.
And we will, the chair will entertain a motion to table this till the next meeting.
I make a
not
motion.
table it till the next meeting. It'll be, I guess, removed. And then, yes, sir.
I was going to suggest that we table it indefinitely until the parties show up here.
Until the parties show up.
Well, I mean, you know, we keep rolling it over here.
Would that be a legal motion, Ms. Smiley?
Yes, you can table it indefinitely, and then when the people who put it on the agenda want to hear it again, it can be brought back.
Okay, easy enough. So, table
I move that we
indefinitely.
table it indefinitely.
Okay.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Question on that. Table it indefinitely, and then when it wants to be brought back, does it have to be re-entered on the agenda? Or can it be brought back up at any meeting when the parties show up?
No, it needs to be on the agenda.
Okay,
In
so
order
it needs
for,
to be
in order for
reintroduced.
you to discuss it, it needs to be on the agenda, so that the public also has notice that it's going to be discussed.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So in essence, you are removing it.
Yeah,
Because it has to be
in
brought back.
essence, you bet, you bet. And like I said, we've got another item that has been on 3 times and has not been addressed. We'll deal with that one later. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Did we get a second?
Seconded.
And a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Presentation by Pat Walker, I believe, is going to be postponed because of Ms. Walker being unable to make it.
Yes, Mayor, she's unable to be here with us tonight. We'll reschedule it on your agenda for a future meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. Item C,
So it's just withdrawn.
yeah, it'll be withdrawn. Item C, consideration and possible action to approve change order number 1 to contract with Civil Tech Incorporated for Road 4 South construction staking in an amount not to exceed $3,175. Funds to come from road impact fees. All right.
Mayor, Council, I'm not Ron Gritman, but Ron asked me to appear tonight and speak for him.
Yes, sir.
I probably won't do the elegant job that Ron normally does, but I'll try.
If you would introduce yourself to the audience, though, please.
I'm Richard Straub. I'm a staff engineer for the town. On Road 4 South, our consultant did not include any survey work to establish the fence line. Fence line started out flat, went over 2 big crests and down. The property owner said, I can't figure out where the fence should go, and he requested that we do stake it. So we felt that was a fair request to us, so we're recommending that, yes, that was extra work, and it should be paid.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Do we have any questions? Yes, sir.
I haven't spent years in engineering. I find it hard to believe how we keep coming back looking for change orders to contracts that are let and completed. I mean, how does this happen? Are we not looking at the drawings to begin with and realizing what's needed?
Mayor, Council, Councilmember Wojak, in this particular case, we did not intend to stake the fence line. But since Mr. James and Mr. James Foreman asked us to do that because they could not establish the fence, we felt that was a legitimate request. So it was not something overlooked, it was just something that was added to us. And we've been trying to work with the James family.
Just for clarification, before you have your follow-up question, did we not, as a town, talk with Mr. James about doing the fence, and we were not comfortable with doing it, and we were going to have him do it? Is that
Well,
your?
I think the option for all of the work that was going to be done there besides the road was given to James.
Okay.
Okay, and as far as the specifics on the fencing, I wasn't involved, so I can't really,
Okay.
I can't really say for sure.
All right, thank you. You had a follow-up question? Yes, sir.
I find it hard to understand. If we didn't think it was necessary to begin with, why do we let somebody convince us that it was? I mean, my idea would be, okay, I'll split it with you. We'll go half and half or whatever.
Originally, it was contemplated that we would take the minimum amount of land to keep the cost as low as possible. So the right-of-way lines went out, came in, went out, very zigzag. The section line is a straight line. Mr. James asked that we purchase that as part of the negotiations and save that not as right-of-way, but as some other type of special land. And I think that was discussed during the negotiations. So we did stake the right-of-way, which we normally do, and yes, we did come back because they had their own contractor, and we did stake the fence line, 1.5 miles of it.
Okay, thank you, thank you. All right. And yes, we occasionally do have items come back, and Councilmember Best, you and I had spoken about it. We want to encourage greater diligence naturally in our contracts as much as possible. But we understand there's occasionally going to be change orders. Okay.
Mayor, could I add one
Yes, sir.
thing? And thank you, Richard. In the discussions on the project and the negotiation of the settlement, originally the town developed price options on all of the elements. And in the very first initial stages, when we were talking with Mr. James, we were contemplating the installation of the fence.
Right.
And Mr. Turner brought forward in discussion, maybe we don't want to do that because he's going to be the one relying upon the fence. When we went to Mr. James and said, we want you to install the fence, he came back to the town and said, well, I need you to show me where to put it. And in the initial budgeting and initial cost contemplation for the project, that request was not part of the project scope.
Okay.
And so we reconfigured the right-of-way and the land, just as Richard said, and as council approved, and we needed to create a line for that, and unfortunately, that cost was not part of the original project estimate costs.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
When was the staking done?
Mayor, Councilmember McGee, I'm going to say probably in March of this year. I don't remember the exact time frame, but it was basically after we had finished our grading work and basing work.
Why has it taken till September 13th or 23rd? Why has it taken till now to have this on the agenda?
I can't answer that. The consultant did come in and talk to the director and asked that this be placed, so I can't really answer that question.
I would think that it should have been done immediately
Okay.
after the staking was done.
Okay, thank you. Considering the size of this project and how colorful this project was, I'm really happy that we only have a change order for $3,000. But yes, sir.
In our packet, it says that there was a auditing of the account, and that's when they found it. They didn't. So it came up when they were checking, like you always do, you go through your bills and make sure everything was equal, and that's when they found it.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? Yes, sir.
Well, I'll just comment based on, after Robert, that was the situation with the James Ranch. Was the agreement was that we went in and did certain things for them, which included the fence, in order to make their pasture continue to be usable the way they'd been using it in the past, with no restriction for cattle or the cowboys or whatever, and we agreed to that. And when it came up to us doing the work, that's when I did mention to Robert, I said, do we really want to take over the managerial part of that project and then be stuck between the owner and the contractor if there's things that the owner doesn't agree with? And at that point, we asked them, will you just take and do your own work? And they agreed to. So I think that cutting that managerial aspect of this project off of our plate was a lot better deal than, than this change order.
You bet, than $3,000. All right, if there's no other questions, the chair would entertain a motion.
I would make a motion that we approve the change order number 1 to contract with Civil Tech Incorporated for Road 4 South construction staking in the amount not to exceed $3,175.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Consideration and possible action to approve change order number 1 to contract with Civil Tech Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $9,464 for additional engineering services on the Center Street and Road 4 South projects, roads to come from road impact fees. You've probably already gathered, Mr. Straub, that we're not dancing on air over the thought of change orders, but anyway, go right ahead.
Mayor, I fully understand that. On Center Street, we have kind of a catch-22. We're trying to work with the adjacent property owners as best we can. We do have a set of overhead electric lines that are involved. We're trying to compromise, again, to keep peace and harmony in the neighborhood. These folks don't want a new road because they have nothing there now. So after the road was designed, the property owners did meet with us and they did complain. So the road was shifted to the south, 25, 35 feet. New drainage had to be designed. We've got to design something to safeguard the telephone poles. So this, in my opinion, is a legitimate change order because we're trying to appease the people. It's a catch-22.
Too bad.
The second part of this, when we let the original engineering contract, we tried to save money by saying we don't need geotech. We thought we were going to be blasting rock through the big hump on Road 4. We didn't hit any rock. We hit some very soft dirt. So as a result, we tried to save money up front by saying we're not going to do a stormwater pollution control plan. We're not going to need it. After we got into this, we said, ooh, we're going to be in violation with all this dirt, possible silt. So we said we do need a stormwater. So it's our fault that we tried to save money up front. We paid for it in the end.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any questions on this side?
I have one question. So on the Center Street, the engineering or the contract for the work or the later engineering was done after the contract was let that is bringing this change order to us?
That is correct. He finished his work, presented complete plans to us. We had to go back and say, for almost 3/4 of a mile, shift the road.
Yeah.
But the bid had already been let?
Well, the contract for the engineering had already been let.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And that's part of the cost of doing business, trying to impact folks as little as possible. Yes, sir.
We're not talking about the contract for construction, we're talking for contract for design.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. If there's no further questions, all right. Chair would entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the change order number 1 to the contract with Civil Tech Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $9,464 for additional services on Center Street and Road 4 South project.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay. The ayes have it. Do we need a call for division? Or are you comfortable with the ayes and ayes?
I do just need to know who voted on the second, on no.
Okay.
I heard Councilmember Wojcik, but I heard 2 voices.
Okay.
Was it, okay.
Okay. Good.
And on the same item, was that the same? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I had someone in our town recommend that we get a crystal ball so that we can get everything right the first time, and so we're going to get a change order for one of those here pretty soon. Item E, consideration and possible action to award the bid to and approve the construction contract with Capital Improvements LLC in an amount not to exceed $352,720 for the base bid and $90,540 for the alternative bid, for a project total of $443,260 for construction of the box culvert at Center Street and the Santa Cruz Wash. Funds to come from capital improvements funds. Yes, sir, Mr. Stroh.
Mayor, Council, this is part of our long-range program to have a continuous road down Center, Peavine, Road 4 South. Our first step is we do have to put a very large concrete box culvert in the Santa Cruz Wash. We're very fortunate that we're letting this contract on the tail end of the FAN contract on the highway, because I understand that his concrete people are going to be doing this work as they're finishing up out there. So as a result of that, I think we got a very good price on our concrete. So actually, the total project's about $50,000 under what we estimated we were going to pay.
Wow.
Town forces will be doing some excavation. We're trying to keep costs down, so we will be coming in and shaping some of the banks on the wash. So this project will be built with a contractor. We are familiar with the contractor. We tried to do due diligence. We met with the contractor last week. We asked him, are there anything wrong with the contract? Are there going to be any changes? Is there anything we need to know about now? So we're trying to do due diligence as best we can.
Okay.
So it's our recommendation that we proceed on with this contract.
Okay. You're first, Mr. Wojcik, and then Mr. Best. Yes, sir.
Could I get an explanation as to why we split off this riprap portion for 90 grand?
Mayor, Councilmember Wojak, we were not sure what the bids would come in. We only had a certain amount of money. We needed the box built, and we wanted to see if we'd have enough to do the riprap. But we didn't want to go over the available funds that we had for the project.
Okay, and you had a follow-up question?
Does that mean that we could easily cut out the 90 grand if we had been over on the basic portion?
Well, we simply would not have awarded it. We probably would have went in with town forces and completed the work at a later date.
Okay, one more. Yes, sir.
I would like to move that we slash the 90,000 alternate and apply that 90 grand to chip sealing some of these roads in the town that we keep talking about we don't have the money for.
Second.
Well, I'm not real sure we can do that, but all right, we'll visit with Ms. Smiley here. Yes,
Mayor,
ma'am.
I think that you could, because the applying the funds to the repaving of the roads is not on the agenda. I think that you would need, you could slash the 90,000, but I think that's about as far as that motion could go.
That's
at this
what I
point.
thought, since it wasn't an agendized item.
Right, right.
But we could move to slash the funds. Hang on for just a second. Yes, sir, Mr. Smith?
I'm sorry to interrupt, Mayor, Council. Richard, are these the flood control monies from the county?
No, sir. But I should mention, this is a Corps of Engineers permit. They have to approve all work to make sure we're not going to affect the high water. So ultimately, we have to put the riprap in order to satisfy our permit.
Okay.
If we can't do it, then I'm not sure we can proceed under their approval. We'd have to go back and ask them, can we have approval on not doing it?
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, I had one follow-up question.
Yes, sir.
There was a change order that council approved, I think in the last meeting, to allow us to move forward and phase some of the flood control work. This isn't that project?
No, sir, that's over in Chino Meadows 2 and 5.
Understood.
And that project will be phased as funds are available.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Turner? you have-
Okay, so either way, whether we slash that $90,000 and don't have it done by the contractor, we still have to get it done. So we would have to do it with our town forces.
At some point in the near future, to satisfy the permit, we would.
Okay? And second question is, what is the downside if we don't get this done right away? In other words, what kind of a problem could that create for us, if any, if we wait a year to do it? We have rains like we just now had this year, and it's in place with no riprap.
Well, we're building I think there's 6 barrels in the box. So the velocity is going to be very high as the water builds up ahead on the upstream end, and as it flows through the culvert, it's going to increase velocity. And then downstream, if there isn't some kind of protection, we'll have a tremendous amount of erosion. What could happen? Maybe it would be okay for a year. If we had a very heavy storm, it might eat out the banks and go outside the easement that we have secured.
So regardless, we would be looking at going back and doing work again that had already been done in order to riprap it correctly at a later date.
We would have to build it to the grade that we submitted to the Corps of Engineers. They're very strict on that.
Okay, so that's that's what we need to think about. Are we going to, we either spend the money now and we get it done? If we wait, then we're going to be redoing work. So just something to think about.
Okay, all right. Possibility of doing it twice. Yes, sir, Mr. Best, and then I believe Mr. Wojcik had.
You talked about having town employees do it. If we took the limited amount of employees we have to go ahead and do that work, what is going to be the offset? I mean, they can't be in 2 places at the same time, so there's going to be other work that's going to have to be neglected.
Mayor, council, Councilmember Best, we can't even keep up with mowing these days and weeds, let alone patching chuck holes or doing anything else.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor from Mr. Wojcik. You wish to keep the motion on the floor, correct?
I do. If you want me to revise it to say just a slash to 90 and not tell where it goes, that's fine.
That would be the only way we could legally do it.
That's fine.
Okay. A motion on the floor to slash the 90,000, and we still have a second. Okay.
Yes.
We'll deal with that motion right now. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion does not carry. Do you need a call for division? No? Okay. The motion that's next that's before us is the recommended action on item E. The chair would entertain a motion.
I move that we award the bid to and approve the construction contract with Capital Improvement LLC in the amount not to exceed $352,720 for the base bid and $90,540 for the alternate bid for the project totaling $443,260 for the construction of the box culvert at Center Street and Santa Cruz Wash.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Before we vote, just for our audience's edification, Mr. Straub, you've built a road or two, have you not? Maybe done a culvert. How long have you been involved in this?
You know, I would hate to admit my age, old. I think I once tallied up, I built something like 30 major bridges.
Okay.
And culverts, probably 100.
Okay. I just wanted our audience to
And none have
understand.
fell down to my knowledge.
Okay. I know you look like you're in your early 20s, so I wanted some credibility with our audience here as far as where you were at. We have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On to item F. This is dealing with our strategic plan. Consideration and possible action regarding review, feedback, and possible revision of the 2014 strategic plan. Ms. Mayday?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you, you have the hopefully final draft that was revised based on the comments we received last Thursday evening. I would be happy to go through it page by page. I apologize again for getting it back to you so late, but we did just get the corrections last Thursday, and we've done everything we can to turn this around as quickly as possible.
You bet. And so you incorporated the corrections that we made during the study session?
Yes, we incorporated all of those corrections, and we have added the legend that you requested. We have fixed some of the other errors that were in with some formatting problems we were having.
Okay, thank you. Yes, in our package, I had noticed that we had the old one still, so thank you for getting.
Oh, yes, no. Again, as I was running out the door.
No problem. Are there any questions or comments regarding the strategic plan? I know our vice mayor had much to say about having all these different vision statements, so thank you for getting those.
Right, we cleaned those up.
Okay. Yes, Ms. McKee, I believe you had a question.
Well, let me see here. I have.
While Ms. McKee is looking for that, I wanted to thank our council members for all the input that they did give on this. We thrashed through it pretty well, so.
No question.
No questions?
No,
Okay.
changed.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Cool, thank you. If there's no further questions, I suppose we can, we're not going to be taking any action on it, and we can plan to move it forward to the October 14th agenda.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Consideration and possible action to authorize the mayor to sign all documents related to the submittal of the Economic Development Administration Public Works Grant Program, the EDAP. Yes, ma'am.
Before you, you have the bulk of the formal application that the EDA requires, and it summarizes some of the documents that they require to be added to the application when it is submitted. So this is a pretty good overview of what the town is asking for, how much money we are asking for, how the funds will be spent, what the project entails, and the rationale. EDA has changed this program over the years where they used to require everything up front. They now have a stepped process where they will review this, ask us for any additional information that they need, review that, come back and ask us for more information, perhaps perform some environmental impact assessments, things like that. So this will not be the last we hear from them.
Okay, and we're not signing any documents tonight?
No, we don't need to sign any documents tonight because the grant actually isn't due until October 14th.
Oh, okay.
So in case we have some last minute, I don't know, winning lottery tickets, something to help with the town's match.
You bet.
We won't sign anything.
All right, thank you, thank you. All right, are there any questions from this meeting?
How is it possible that we got all this done that much earlier than the deadline?
Well.
Just a joke, I'm just having some fun, that's all. Good job.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
What's the total amount that we're going to ask for as of this date?
The total project amount or the total grant award?
The total amount that we would be asking for the grant?
From the feds, $1,535,868.
Okay, and of that, we have to match 40%?
No, actually, because we're going back this time as a special project, the EDA sets the match that we're required to give or to provide based on the economic analysis we provide.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on this side? Yes, sir, Mr. Wojcik.
And what portion have they set? What percentage?
Now, they haven't set one yet because we have to submit this. They read the economic analysis and they come back and say, well, we've decided that this will justify a 40% match. Then we have to come up with more match money. Or they can say, we agree with your 25%. We'll go with that. And that's all we have to do.
And what are we going to do for the 25%?
The 25%, we, as I've laid out in here, we have, the town will supply up to $85,000 of that match. $250,000 would come from the Arizona Rural Economic Development Grant, and then another $177,000 from the state special projects that the Arizona Department of Housing administers. It's similar to the Community Development Block Grant Funding Program, only it's allocated for special projects statewide on a competitive basis.
This is grant after grant after grant to
And I
try
have
and
two
match the
more on
grants.
my
Yeah.
desk.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, will this be coming back to council with the final amount to be requested?
So what will happen is we'll submit this.
Right.
EDA will come back and say, we agree with your 25%, we think you should, or you need to match 30. I come back to you and say, EDA wants 30%, we need to scrape up some more money, and you either say, okay, or you say, no, we're done. So there are multiple steps of approval so that town council, and even if you say yes at that point, we come back with the contract. Once we've done everything with EDA, everybody agrees on everything, there's still a contract, just like the housing rehab contract that I bring back to town council. Here's the contract, here are the terms, and then you have to approve signing that as well.
Okay, and could we make that not a not-to-exceed amount?
The EDA grant?
Yeah.
Well, the EDA grant, we're tied to the budget that we've developed.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions from the council? Okay. The chair would entertain a motion then.
I make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign all documents related to the submittal of the EDAP grant application.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're now going to be going into executive session. Would you like to take a 10-minute break, everybody? Okay. We're going to go ahead and recess the regular meeting and hold an executive session after a 10-minute break. Recess? Okay.
We got to read all this.
All right, Miss Maisie, we are coming back into session.
Yep. Great.
We're back. Seated. Okay, we're back in session. Action items resumed. Item A, consideration and possible action to waive the attorney-client privilege on the following documents. Memorandum from a town attorney to planning and zoning commissioners regarding conflicts of interest on zoning matters dated August 15th, 2014. Number 2, email from Phyllis Smiley to planning commissioners regarding planning commissioners and Arizona conflict of interest laws dated June 18th, 2013. Item 3, email from David Hoffman to Mary Brasher forwarding previous. Item 4, email from Michael Edmonds to Phyllis Smiley dated June 18, 2013, and corrected instead of item 4, item 5, email from Phyllis Smiley to Robert Smith and David Hoffman regarding P&Z conflict of interest dated June 18th, 2013. The chair will entertain a motion.
No discussion?
Oh, let's have some discussion. Okay.
Well, I couldn't discuss in there, you said.
All right. That's Mr. Best has much to say. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Well, all I want to say is, after reading all of these, there was nothing other than attorney giving counsel to P&Z about the conflict of interest laws, and I don't see anything that would be pertinent to this privilege of having to go ahead and restrict the public from knowing what's going on, or to help the police complete their investigation.
Okay. Okay. Any thoughts from you folks?
pretty much the same. It's,
Okay.
in order for, we having total transparency, and anything that is said in an email should be said on the street anyway. I'm in favor
You bet.
of
Yeah.
going forward.
And I also want to maintain our transparency. We need to cooperate with the police department in their investigation, and I think we need to give them whatever they ask for. So, any other discussion? Okay, the chair would entertain a motion then.
I move that we waive the attorney-client privilege in the following documents. One, memorandum from the town attorney to Planning and Zoning Commission regarding conflict of interest on zoning matters dated August 15th, 2014. Number two, email from Phyllis Smiley to planning commissioners referencing planning commissioners and Arizona conflict of interest laws dated June 18th, 2013. Item three, an email from David Hoffman to Mary Brasser, forwarding previously. Number four, email from Mike Edmonds to Phyllis Smiley dated June 18th, 2013. And number five, email from Phyllis Smiley to Robert Smith and Dana Hoffman regarding P&Z conflict of interest dated June 18th, 2013.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item B, consideration and possible approval of the settlement and release agreement that is the subject of negotiations related to the construction manager at risk contract between the town of Chino Valley and Fan Contracting Incorporated dated June 12th, 2003, and all amendments thereto. And I believe you had wording for the motion on that as far as discussion is concerned.
As far as the 9.1.3 or potential
Yeah,
of that,
yeah. Okay.
I want to see complete maintenance records for the plant from the time that it's been in service, which is roughly 10 years, so that we can see if there's any problem childs, any red flags, anything like that that we're going to have to deal with. And also make it worded so that those are going to be complete records, and that Fan Contracting is held to what would it be? To making sure that those records that we are given are totally truthful, honest, actual records.
Yeah. Honest, accurate recording or whatever.
Right.
Okay. And was there any other items that we needed to address on that? I know the records, we needed to have those records and a tour of the plant prior to.
And I'm sorry, and have those records before signing with sufficient time to go through them.
Okay.
And investigate, and make sure that we're happy with them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Mr. Wojcik.
I'm wondering, can we ask that they be certified as to being truthful and accurate?
Yeah, that might be a difficult process to certify them.
It's only the people that have been running the plant that know.
Yeah.
Or the owner, which
Yeah,
is,
yeah, they-
or operator at this
Yeah.
point in time. So if, well, I think just as long as we know, they need to know that we're saying that whatever we receive is the God's honest truth.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got all the records, everything, nothing's been left out, nothing's been messed
Yeah.
with.
And whoever is the maintenance supervisor over there, to have a form that says, I certify that the above attached maintenance records are true to the best of my knowledge, sign, that
Or-
shouldn't be that hard.
Or even maybe Mike Fain himself certifies them to be true and accurate.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
I said, maybe the person to certify them is Mike Fain himself, that they're true and accurate.
Okay, yeah. Have Mr. Fan himself sign underneath or whatever. Okay. All right. Can you sort of form that up in a motion, or was that the motion itself?
Okay, well, I guess I need to take a look at that actual.
You don't get help like I did.
No, I'm missing it now. I didn't walk out here with it.
Yeah, here's the item, I guess you could say that, move that we,
B, right?
that,
Okay, make a motion to accept the wording on the settlement and release agreement that is subject of negotiations related to the construction manager at risk contract between Town of Chino Valley and Fan Contracting Incorporated, dated June 12, 2003, and all amendments thereto, with the addition of a 9.13 addition that we are to receive complete maintenance records from the inception of the plant until now for review, previous to signing of the contract, and with sufficient time to review. And that these will be given with a certification from the operator that has been in charge that they are all true and correct.
certification of accuracy or something like that. Okay, good.
Sounds good, Lon. I'll second it.
Thanks.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, who has not moved to adjourn in a while here? Okay.
Move to
Pat
adjourn.
McKee. Okay, motion to adjourn.
Second it.
Seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.